This is unbelievable. No explanation, no substance, no debate, just that's it. No conspiracy, no suppression of information, ladies and gentlemen of the world. Well, you've just seen it yet again.
You did say you were sick of doing radio interviews.
That's not the point. Whether I have to do one after the other to get this information out is irrelevant to the fact that the information again and again is being suppressed. Why? They'll tell you what the government wants you to know. They'll tell you what the transnational corporations and the stock market want you to know. They won't tell you what they don't want you to know. And people like that are unknowing, frightened little men who are editing the news while claiming to be part of a media that is free.
It was in reading some of the writings of David Icke that the decision was taken, hang on a minute, why isn't this guy in the courts of Canada? Because he out and out calls two of our former prime ministers of Canada, he says they are rapists. And I'm also amazed that if he truly believes that there is a superhuman extraterrestrial power overriding everything that happens on this planet that stifles opinion and stifles free speech, then why is he still with us? Why haven't the lizard men taken him out?
How's it going?
It's 3-0 for us so far.
Exactly. Meaning the radio show?
2 on CFUN. His book signing at Chapters. Actually, Chapters gave us another one. I think it's 4-0 when they kicked him out when their security guards grabbed him by the scruff of the neck and threw him out. So I count that as at least a half.
This is Richard Warman of the Canadian Green Party. Richard is leading the campaign against David. His aim is to get David deported and his books seized and incinerated under Canadian hate crimes legislation.
That's the other thing. David Icke says that no one has ever read his books. Anyone who criticizes him has never read his books.
When David Icke says lizards, does he mean Jews?
No, well, half the time I think they're intermixed, because if it's all the Illuminati, and most of the Illuminati are famous Jews, then, and if the Illuminati are descended from extraterrestrial fourth-dimensional lizards, as they are wont to be, then yes, I think unfortunately Mr. Icke is referring to them as lizards. Gentlemen, here's to cooperation.
Cheers.
Gentlemen, too evil.
I think we can release the hounds now.
You know that David thinks that you're the hidden hand behind all of this?
Make a note. He's on to me. Well, yes, you know, of course. I am probably descended from some sort of fourth dimensional, if not even fifth dimensional lizard, but David's not ready for that information yet. David's just not ready.
A representative from the Anti-Defamation League is in town to speak at the university. Tony and Erin from the coalition hope to co-opt the audience to their mass anti-Icke picket at David's lecture on Sunday.
Now, when we talk about Holocaust denial, I think the first thing we have to understand is the nature of the message. On the surface, Holocaust denial, everyone from Ernst Zundel to your fellowness, we were talking about Mr. Icke, who is bringing his lizard show to Vancouver. I would be very surprised if he is not a Holocaust denier. But I don't know specifically, but it sort of goes with the territory.
We're organizing a counter picket and leafleting Sunday morning at 9 a.m., and I really encourage people to come out. I'm just going to give you a couple quick quotes just to contextualize what this Icke guy is about. There's an interesting quote which he has on the Anti-Defamation League itself, and I'll just quickly read that. In Britain, I'm told by an extremely reliable source very close to the intelligence organizations that the far-right group Combat 18, which is a fascist group which is extraordinary, is a front for the sinister Anti-Defamation League, the United States arm of the Israeli Rothschild Secret Service the Mossad. The Anti-Defamation League, the ADL, has been operating in Britain and Europe since at least 1991, and its role is to brand as anti-Semitic anyone who's getting close to the truth of what is going on. What better way to discredit an investigator than to have a far-right group like Combat 18 to praise them? I'd encourage people to come out Sunday morning, 9 o'clock.
Thursday, the coalition has failed to convince VTV, a popular local television station, to cancel David's scheduled appearance. Finally, David has a chance to put his side of the story across to the people of Vancouver.
Joining me now is David Icke and SFU psychology professor Dr. Barry Beierstein, who is also president of the BC Skeptic Society. Dr. Beierstein, whether or not Mr. Icke's theories make sense, why do you think he has a following when a lot of people would think that the ideas are completely out of this world?
What research have you done on that?
I'm just trying to get this question from Dr. Beierstein.
And you make statements like that. That's nonsense.
Well, I think the nonsense is in the other side, but that aside, your question was why do people believe it? Well, I think people like to enchant themselves, and this is classic mystery mongering. People want there to be grand conspiracies, and they want the world to be an even more mysterious place than it is, and they want simplistic, pat answers for why they're not happy, why the world isn't the wonderful place they think it should be, and that is more satisfactory.
Professor?
Just a minute, let me finish. That's more satisfactory psychologically than the sort of thing that science and decent scholarship will say.
Well, let's get Mr. Icke to respond to that.
Professor, did you major in patronizing the people of British Columbia? Because you really ought to have done. Tell me about... Hold on a second. Hold on a second.
Let's stick with your silly ideas, not the people that believe them.
Okay.
Let's talk about, first of all, why Jewish groups are calling you anti-Semitic.
Because I'm getting too close to the truth. When you get too close to the truth, they can assassinate you, or they can assassinate your character. In my case, they've chosen the latter.
How would you respond to that, Dr. Beierstein?
Don't get into these convoluted and paranoid fantasies that people are trying to shut you up. I mean, and what are you doing? You're on one of the biggest media outlets in Vancouver right now. That's hardly shutting you up.
I've actually had 2 major interviews on radio pulled this week by the owners of the network. I've had book signings cancelled because of attacks on my character. You want to read the papers a bit more, mate?
In the days that follow the TV debate, David's fans begin approaching him on the street, sometimes breaking into spontaneous rounds of applause. Some of the coalition privately admit to me that the whole thing is beginning to backfire.
See you Friday.
All right, good.
Great.
Okay, bye.
Smash it. Lovely to meet you. Bye.
The Jews are drawing their own parallels. They think, you know, they believe that they are the Illuminati that David's talking about. They're just paranoid. It's not true. He's not an anti-Semite.
I've been described as weird, but never deliciously weird. Is that an improvement, Jim, you reckon?
Yeah, well, I brought you a few copies there so far.
Vancouver's urban voice. And I'm deliciously weird. I think I'm making progress.
The anti-Icke coalition seems to be falling apart. The powerful Canadian Jewish Congress has already withdrawn, stung by the lack of support from the public. The people of Vancouver seem to like David and the lizards.
I dropped a few books off at Granville Books.
Yeah?
They're all sold out. I want more.
Really?
Yeah.
The book's going like fire in this city.
The strange thing is that many in the coalition share David's conspiracy theories about an evil elite ruling the world. This is what the left-wingers here were battling against in Seattle and Prague. They just don't believe these elitists to be shape-shifting lizards or Jews.
What we do have to remember is out there are lots of people who are undecided on many things that he stands for that sound very progressive. He's against the WTO. I'm against the WTO.
There are very rational explanations of corporate globalization. It's not a conspiracy. Corporations do what they do because they are corporations, and we don't need to imagine conspiracies to explain why they would do everything they possibly can to increase their profits and take away the rights of workers and suppress democracy. That's their business. In fact, that's their only business.
The problem is this. David Icke has become so popular here in Vancouver that those people who don't believe in the lizards are beginning to seem like has-beens.
His views are expressed as the answer. You know what I mean? A lot of, especially young people, are getting involved in these issues, and they're seeing that, you know, this big task before them, and we sort of have the answers as a group of people, but David Icke has the real answer. And it's these conspiracies and their lizards, and that's linked to dehumanizing, the Jewish elite. People who are just finding their ground on these issues are like, don't tell me I'm stupid, I'm looking for some answers, and he seems to